So we're going to be looking at how we can validate form with what's it called HTML and JavaScript. Form validation with HTML and JavaScript. I think we've done this before, but we can still look into it again in another dimension. Before we used to create a form, we used to have our form inside the form tag. But right now, we're not going to be having the form inside the form tag again. So let me show you a sample of what I'm talking about. Okay, let's say for instance, HTML. So let's don't worry about the head. So we just declare the body straight. And so now, before we used to have something like this: form, method, and action. So something like this. We used to have something like this before. But right now we're not going to be using this again. So like we now begin to put our input type, text, and value equals to name. I think you understand it to this extent. So but right now we're not going to be having it this way. We're not going to be having it this way. So what we want to do now is having a form without the form tag. We are working with that's a JavaScript form validation API. So now what we want to deal with here is text. Sorry, number, and so now we're going to create a button type for a submit, and we are giving it id equals to submit. So that's that. So we're giving this number to an id. So we say id will be nums. So now we have this. Now we are looking at the sample from W3 school. I won't lie to you, I don't store codes in my head because there's so much things to think of. I am a married man. So let's take a look into this, how we can make this work out. So at the first, you just have to think some other thing. Let's add a paragraph. No, a heading. Okay. Enter a number and click OK. Sorry. H2. Let's save this one before we further. So we're going to be saving it with today's date. Today's date. I think we used to have a software class. So going to be creating a folder and giving it today's date. What's today's date? Today is 6 6 6 5 2023. So we're going to be giving this file index.html. So to change the color of the text, now we have enter and click on this. Submit now. And that's not all. We want to create our JavaScript. So now inside this, let's reduce what you put here. Let's put input number. We don't want it to be too bogus. And now we need to add our mean equals to 100. Max equals to 300. So we'll be putting required, because if you, in case you press enter send button now, you didn't add any value into the text field, number field is not going to submit. So let's change that value to placeholder. So placeholder, that value you automatically add a value, new value into the folder. We don't want that. So now we want to indicate here that if the number is less than 100 or greater than 300, and error message will be displayed. So inside our script, inside this submit button, we are supposed to have on click equals to, let's give it my function so my function so value equals to, okay. So now from here you call the function right away, but you first have to declare function. Now say my function. So now check, we declare our function. So what do you want? You want imp obj object equals to document dot get element by id. So as you know, this is what this is the idea we want to call. Just follow what I'm teaching you and not what you're looking at in the script. So closer. Now say uh, if not, let's change this so that we can understand what. Let me copy this and put it here. Now at least we can understand what we are doing. Yeah. So now if not norms, if not norms dot check validity. So we are checking validity, and if peradventure there is test dot get element id by id. So we are supposed to have a paragraph somewhere. Norms dot validate validation message. So this place now, there should be an id in it. So we need to call that id. That id should come right away here. That's sorry, paragraph. Now set id inside this paragraph. Say id equals to demo. So you bring that demo here, demo here. I will explain all this code one after the other. So you bring the demo here. Now after that, you now use else. Else. Say get this same message. Get HTML and say input. Okay. So now let's test our code. Let's see if it's working or not. Okay. Today's date is what? 6. So let's view our code. Let's see if it's working. So if it's not working, I'll also teach you how you can check. So it's not working. Let's check. Let's check. Let's check. I want to see what the error is. Say unquote type error. Norms check validity is not function. At function. Okay. Index 13, 14. Okay. Say checked validity is not function. So it's complaining about the check validity. check. So we added something there which is not supposed to be. Check validity. So right now we should have it correct. If you click on this, you cannot set property of no setting in HTML. So something is happening. Occurred error. Cannot set property of no setting in HTML. Okay. So let's go and see. It's complaining about inner HTML on line 16 to 48. On line 16. So dot inner. Sorry, we make a mistake here. Instead of demo, we wrote demo. Demo. It's supposed to be demo. So inner HTML. Let's see this validation message. So let's try it again. Okay, it's giving a response. Please fill out this field. Can you see something? Fill out this field. And another thing is, if the number is below 100, let's see, value must be greater than or equals to 100. Can you see here? So, and what if it's greater than uh, so value must be less than 300. Okay, so why are we having those messages? So let's check. Let's check. From here, what we declared from our input. This is how to declare this from the input. We say we put the type. What we want there is number. That's why if we put text, you are not going to see anything. It's not going to allow text. So that's number one. So number two, where is it? So number two, so that's why it's not allowing text. Now the number two is ID. So we set an ID so that if we want to have anything to do with this line of code, that's the input form field, we call it from the JavaScript. So we now put a placeholder. That's the name we want the text field to display. Look at it here, input number. That's what it's showing. Look at it here, input number. And we now set the maximum and the minimum. The minimum should be 100, the maximum should be 300. And so that means you can't submit below 100 and you can't submit above 300. And before you submit, you must input something, or else that's why we put to require uh, statement there. Look at this one. Please fill out this field. Please fill out this field. That's why it's asking that question. Is saying that. So now after that is done, so we now set our input button. Input button type submit. ID, we say the ID submit. ID submit. That anytime what we want to happen here, number one type is submit. That's this type means data type. I think I've explained it to us in some of my videos. Data type. So if you look at this input field now, you have its number. That's what I just explained to you here. You have it to be a number. and we have the data, the other one for button, submit. So what is showing here, as you can see, is button. Okay. So this is where we set the ID to be able to call to relate with. But right now I don't think we need this. We don't need ID for submit button because we've already declared a function inside it. So now value we put okay. If I remove this okay, what will automatically be there is submit. So since I put okay, that's what is giving me right away. Now the onClick is a function in JavaScript. We have on click, on change, on remove, on mouse up, on mouse top, and all this and that. But right now we say on click until we click this button. That is when an effect is going to take place. So that's when effect is going to take place. Now when you click on this button, automatically my function will be triggered. So when it's triggered, this is what it triggers. So when it triggers, it automatically pick this line from JavaScript, this function. So we are just on clicking of this function means you are calling this guy here. So after you've done that, this function, I think I explained that to us in our previous class, how to use function and how to call functions, how to declare parameters in functions, and how to also use functions, global variables with our function. So now var dump, okay, look at this, var nums, I give the, so I try to call our text field, number field, this id number nums, as you can see, is highlighting it to tell you that, to show you where it's coming from. So use document.getElement by id nums. Usually our id is nums. If is not nums, validity. So what is happening here is that if nums is not validated, like is empty or is not doing what we want, it will throw an error message from validation message. Else it will give us input equals to okay. I think we talked about this in our last class, that about if and else, that we, after you send something, how you can validate something rather, that after you say that this should trigger this, else, in case, else means in case that thing doesn't meet the required, means it doesn't meet the requested, okay, use this other option, which is else, use this other option. That means if okay. So it's telling us that if this thing is not, is validated, okay, let's say after validation and they realize that okay, validation goes good, so automatically, and no error was found, it will not pick this, it will come and pick this. Or if the error is true, so it will automatically pick this other side, validation message, that something is happening. So that is why anytime you click on OK, it tell you please fill this field. Let me refresh it. Let's click on OK. It's telling you please fill out this field. Another thing is, if you type below number required, give you another message. Value must be greater than or equals to 100. And if peradventure is greater than 300, its value must be lesser than or equals to 300. So that is the little script of JavaScript we are looking at today. So there are some more are still coming. And please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel. Subscribe so that you can learn more and know more. Thank you very much.